I am Sophia Cox.
I'm Dr. L. What's up?
Ain't nothing much. We took spring break off with our kids, I guess you could say. And now we back. It's May.
It's May. May the 4th be with you.
That is definitely cute. Oh, shout out to my sister. She is an avid listener. Except for when we're not talking, she doesn't listen, and then she binges when we are talking. But she is turning 40, and she is the last of my crew that isn't 40 yet. So I'm super excited. My husband was like, damn, you act like it's your birthday. I'm like, well, that's how we was raised. Like, that's why when my friends get stuff, experience different things, rewards, I feel like it's a celebration for me too. So yes, her birthday feels like it's my birthday. So happy birthday to you, baby sister. Oh,
happy birthday.
When she turned 40, I wasn't calling her baby sister anymore. Like, you're grown, we're peers, like, you don't need me to look after you anymore, kind of thing. So let's see how that goes.
That's funny because I had responded to her invite this morning, and I started to write little sister, and I'm like, 40? Like, but yeah, you'll still call her baby sister.
No, I won't. I still will respond naturally like she is, but I'm not calling her that. We were in Vegas a couple weeks ago, and she got out the car like, oh my gosh, I left my ID, I can't believe it, blah, blah, blah. I was like, shut up, and hand her she was like, oh, you'll always be my big sister. I said, you got about 2 more weeks. Like 2 more weeks left before I be fucking micromanaging your life. So yeah, that's an exciting thing coming up. My grandmother's birthday's in May too. She'll be 84.
Yes.
Yes. Such a blessing.
Yes.
So, May is here, and it's you with the topic today. So I'm so excited to turn it on over.
So May is here. I'm a little pissed with May though, because May is
already.
It's been cold.
Oh, got you.
It's been cold. The rule in Maryland is you can plant your garden and your flowers after Mother's Day, and so usually on Mother's Day the farmers market is jumping. Every mom's got their wagon, getting flowers, plants, all of the things. But it has been chilly.
I mean, well, we still got a little bit of time, because by the time Mother's Day come, maybe it's gonna. I rebelled today. I came outside with no jacket.
I see.
And was like, you just gonna force me to give you something. It was chilly, and I was like, I refuse to put a jacket on. So, but Mother's Day, it might, like this weekend, it's supposed to be 70s. 71 Saturday, maybe.
Yeah, but we do retarded stuff. Like, it was like 90 or something. I was like, yes. I went to Home Depot, got all this garden shit, and now it's freezing, and I gotta like push it all in the garage. So I'm a little
Oh, and it's also Mental Health Awareness Month too.
It is Mental Health Awareness Month.
Always love that. You know how I feel about awareness months.
So it's so funny. Our topic is not in line with Mental Health Awareness Month today, unfortunately. Well, just because this is a show where we touch on mental wellness, and so I was like, we can save that for another day. But if any of our listeners, bless you, jumped on our live a couple of weeks ago, and a couple of girls were in yoga on Monday, and they was like, y'all are so funny. And this never has intended to be a comic relief,
exactly.
I guess.
And people in my life don't think I'm funny. I think I'm pretty funny. And people be like, you're not funny. And I'm like, what? Fucking hysterical.
So I told the third friend the other day, I was like, you're definitely not one of my funny friends, but you might be able to imitate just a tiny bit. I got to categorize your funny.
Yes, please. Thank you.
Sophia's funny is not like tell jokes funny. It's usually like when she's being serious that she's the most funny.
But that's what people say about Capricorns. Like, they are comical because their sarcasm is like not intended, and people are like Jerry Seinfeld, like, and it's like, no, he dead ass serious. Like, I'm not even joking.
But we went live and we talked to some folks. We got some feedback about what, some people wanted to talk about, and a couple of things came up. And so, today we're going to talk about just expectations in marriages.
Oh, wow.
Right? And so, do you know, Mrs. Cox,
I am Mrs.
when you say, what are the primary reasons people break up or get divorces? Like primary categories.
Finances.
What else?
Another one is infidelity. And it gets tricky when I say lack of communication, but that kind of encompasses so many different things, but I still will say lack of communication. I'm growing apart. Literally.
You was like cheating. You was looking at the whole list. Like,
well, I'm married, right? And I think about getting a divorce quite often sometimes, right? And these are the fucking reasons that come to mind. Growing apart, financial, and then that's why even like sometimes you'll hear people get divorced once their kids leave for college or leave the home kind of thing. And it's like, I want to keep this structure for them, but we've grown apart and we've been parenting, and now that we don't have that in common anymore, all right, sow your royal oats.
Peace out.
So yeah, those are the top 4 that's coming to mind. It's definitely quite
very good.
Thank you.
Very good, very good. So at number 1 would be money and household balance. Mm-hmm. And so let's start there.
Yeah.
Some of our listeners was like, y'all need to talk about this 50-50. This 50-50 split. And it's quite a few women who have expressed, or who I've heard express, that they do not appreciate no 50-50 split of household finances. Now, just giving you the some of the background about why people split up because of money and household balances. They primarily talk about somebody being financially irresponsible, right? And so if somebody's just wasting the money, it usually leads to tension, issues, conflict, and then you got the split, possibly, right? And so, but this concept of 50-50, so I'm not married, right? So nobody needs to jump in and say, but Suge, you're not married. We know this, right? But I have some thoughts about it. What does 50-50 really look like? Does it mean like if the rent or mortgage is $2,000, it's like we're your $1,000? The light and gas is $350 this month. We're your $175.
Yeah.
That's how that goes?
Literally, that's how when many people are saying 50-50, that is what they're saying. And they may not do it per bill. What they may do is a total of all their household bills, right? So they may say just the average, okay, our gas and electric usually comes in about $250. Our mortgage is $2,000. We spend about maybe $500 a month on food, cable, internet. Will go through the core bills and then split it. That is what many people are referencing when they say 50-50.
When it's 50-50, does it matter or should it matter if income is equal?
And that's the thing, right? So it gets tricky for me. Not really. It really doesn't get tricky for me. I don't agree with 50-50. I don't think in a marriage nothing is ever 50-50, even down to how you clean, how I rear the kids, how you nurture, how you this and how you that. I get that we're in this place of a man, 2 key principles is to provide and protect, right? And it's like how you define and provide is individually based, and you get to determine that, because he still could be providing if he can't contribute 50-50, but the money matters. So if I'm making $100,000 and you make $50,000, like how am I telling this person that they have to contribute 50% to the bills? Like that doesn't even make sense. You put and this is where the breakdown starts to happen in relationships or conflict, because it's like, now I bring in $800 a week and I have to give you $750 to meet my half, right? And now I have $50 for the rest of the week for gas,
so I gotta
or
ask
anything.
You for lunch
so
money.
Now, when it seems that I'm being financially irresponsible by asking you, like, hey, can I hold one of the cards? You know, I might have spent a little bit money on the house card, or now I am over, you know, maxing out my credit cards, and you saying that I'm irresponsibly
spending,
financially irresponsible. However, you took 90% of what I'm bringing in so that you could tell your friends and feel good to yourself to say, oh, he paid 50-50. But then you got to be able to take some responsibility and ownership of how it's affecting other areas.
So here's the monkey wrench, Soph. You're saying you don't agree with 50-50. However, from what you're saying, your opinion is not for the same reasons of many other women's opinion. Many other women say they don't agree with 50-50 because they want to be taken care of.
Yes.
Right? And so it's, hey, if you, and there's a caveat here. I have never heard this come from a woman who makes more money than her spouse.
Okay.
Right? And so I don't know, and there may be, and so this is the other thing I wanted to offer differently during this episode is I want some feedback about it so we can have a follow-up show where y'all just talk to us about everything we're saying, everything you disagree with, anything we're missaying, all of those things, right? So I've never heard a woman who makes more money than her person say, you need to take care of me. And I've never
I have
heard the whole 50-50 thing.
Yes.
Like significantly more money than their husband.
Yeah. So I have heard women who make more say that she wants her spouse to take care of her for the purpose of, I make more money, I'm the breadwinner, everything relies on me financially. I no longer want that. I no longer want what they perceive as a burden. I don't want the burden of taking care of everything. I want my husband to be able to do that for me. So
to take care of them financially.
Yes, I hear that primarily with people who make more money, because it's the intensity of feeling like everything falls on me. I don't want that responsibility as your wife.
So you're saying that's their thought when they're looking for a person?
No, even with them.
How does that work?
They are experiencing this. So say 10 years in, they're the breadwinner. So it's like something goes wrong with the house, I have to pay. Something goes wrong here, I'm paying for this. I'm paying for the bulk of things. And they're saying, I'm exhausted. I don't want to do that anymore. I want him to be able to get a second job or aspire to do something more to take care of me. So I have heard it more so on that side.
Well, that's crazy to me, because... and it ends up being the whole basis of what our conversation is going to be is, what was your expectations going into this relationship? I was listening to 92Q. Have not listened to 92Q in years. Just been listening to 92Q this week for whatever reason. Just yesterday. And they were talking about some famous lady who I really don't know. She was sitting down with Iyanla.
Oh, that's what I was just about to bring up. It was from The Real.
What is it? What lady was it?
I forgot her name, but it's from the show The Real, and she was interviewing Iyanla about the bus driver.
But
you got to listen to the whole thing. But of course, the clip was, would you date a bus driver?
So that's the part that I heard. It was like, so the DJs on 92Q, they were talking about the clip, but they had callers calling in saying what they thought about, like, would you
and her response was,
a bus driver?
If he owned the bus. That was her response.
Right. And so people were calling in to comment on what she said, and a lot of people were of the opinion, they were just like, whatever your preference is, whatever expectations you set. A couple people was like, well, bus drivers ain't necessarily broke. It was a couple people who, now the lady was like, one lady called in, she's like, I was a bus driver and I made 6 figures. And I'm like, and you worked hard as fuck to make that 6 figures. Overtime like a mother, right? But needless to say, that's where it gets tricky when you go into a relationship and then you switch up. And I guess that goes into growing apart.
That's what I was about to say. And is it really a switch up, right? So say if you got to think we talking marriage, right? So not seeking or dating. Iyanla asked her that, like, would you date, right? So we talking about specifically expectations of a marriage. So sometimes people have been together for years, right? So say you're in your 40s now. We got together at 20. So my expectations at 20 is not going to look the same at 30. And it's not going to look the same at 40. That does not mean that miraculously your partner is going to now turn into, but it is okay to acknowledge that what happened early on, and now I still see that you still aspire at the same level as a 20-year-old, that could cause conflict, that could cause breakdown. But so it doesn't mean that they didn't come in with clear expectations. It's just that we was young and figuring ourselves out, and now I got promoted, and now I've taken on some additional certifications, and I still see you just managing at blank.
So one of the callers who called in was like, hey, we're missing a very significant piece, and it's ambition, right? And so maybe you do meet and you fall in love with somebody who is a bus driver, and they just working their 40 hours and they getting their base salary, right? And maybe it's a lot, maybe it's not, who knows, right? But the one caller said it's about ambition. Does this person have, does this person want to stay doing this 40 hours for the rest of their life? And is that what they make known at the onset of the relationship? And so I guess for me, it's, what is the conversation, or what are the expectations that are laid out? Because some women, they want to be taken care of, and they want to be taken care. And let's not just say women. Some people, they just want to be taken care of, and that's what I want, and that's what I'm saying I want forever, right?
Right.
I think that sometimes in relationships, or our desire to be in relationships, we say, yeah, I'll do this. Yeah, no problem. Yeah, I don't have a problem cooking for you 5 nights a week. I'll do that. And then 5 years into the whole ordeal, you like, fuck this. All I do is slave and cook for you 5 nights a week, and you don't never cook. And then abruptly you say, I'm not cooking anymore. And now World War III has broke out because you switching up. I do agree. You grow. It's like, I'm tired. You know what I'm saying? Hey, can you take on one of these nights? Because it's getting to be a little bit much for me. And a conversation should occur, not the abruptness. I'm tired of taking care of your bitch ass. I'm not taking care of you no more. You better figure it the fuck out. That's when it gets messy and funky and all of those things. Before we move on to the next category, though, so what's your thoughts just about the society's standards that men should take care of women?
Yeah, so referring back to that interview that Iyanla had with the young lady from The Real, is that she brought up an amazing point that society just doesn't ever include, is that, yes, it may be this men are here to provide and protect kind of thing, and we get stuck into the you need to take care of me financially. The part that's missing is you not even being able to stand in your femininity, just knowing your power as a woman.
Okay.
So it's just like, just because you are the woman, this is what you deserve and what you get, but don't even know how to be with your man. Don't even know how to talk to him. Don't even know how to not be the man. One statement that Iyanla always says is that society is teaching these women how to be men wearing pants all day, or something along those lines. Like, we're just masculine even when we don't need to be. But you come to this marriage and this masculine energy all the time, but then pick and choose and say, but take care of me. But I tell you what you could do, when you could do it, how you're going to do it. I demean you. I speak to you very harsh in front of your children, in front of other people, but take care of me. Like, make it make sense.
Right.
Like, be able to stand in just who you are as a woman, being able to nurture your home, be the harmony of your home, be just a sense of peace for this place that you feel like someone should be completely taking care of you. If that is happening, then I feel like that's your due. You know, like that's your helpmate, you're his helpmate. Make it make sense. But for you to feel like you want to be the man in this area, but then, like I said, we get to play, now I'm meek and I'm a woman and, you know, protect me at all costs.
Right.
Like,
right.
That's the part that I don't get. So it's kind of like, we can't even embrace our, what is called? Gentle, whatever the shit.
Soft girl.
Yep. You can't even do that. But a man should just take care of you and do everything. What do you do? What do you bring in besides just the anatomy of a woman?
Yeah. Yeah, the anatomy. That's a whole fucking show in itself.
Yeah, so it's like until you can learn the truth of who you are, nobody should be taking care of you completely.
Okay. So that segment is then. That we're gonna end it right there. Okay. That was good. That was good. You know, so we like look for transitions and stuff, right? And in my mind, that was the perfect transition. Takeaway, you heard what she said, right? And so the next category that came up as far as a suggestion in our live, you said infidelity, but when I was looking at the list of reasons people break up and get divorces, infidelity and sex were two separate reasons.
Yes, absolutely. I agree with that.
Right?
100%, yes.
And so a lot of people don't realize that infidelity and sex are separate things.
Yes.
A lot of the description under infidelity was around people looking for something outside of the marriage that they're not, or outside of the relationship that they're not getting in from their partner. Communication being like the foundation of some of those reasons. But moving into the category of sex, one of our listeners on the lives said that we should talk about
what's the
sexual expectations in a relationship.
No, say how they said it too. How many times should it be expected that I have sex with my husband a week?
Well, we had a whole episode some time ago about sex.
Wait, hold on.
Remember?
Let's see what our producer just put up. How many fingers you just put up?
All right, it should be at least 3 times a week.
Okay, 3 times.
That's minimum.
Minimum. I like that. I'll wait to give my opinion.
So I'm sorry I have to be the just statistically speaking, we look at things quantitatively and qualitatively, right? And in this world, society teaches us to place a lot of emphasis on numbers, frequencies, amounts, and I personally think the number of times is bullshit, right? You can be having sex with your person 3, 4, 5 times a week, but you doing the same boring ass, bullshit ass sex every single time. And they're like, well, you said 3 times. Well, yeah, but I want to put it in your butt. No, I'm not doing that. No. I did it 3 times. And I did it 3.5 times because that time that the kids was leaving for school, we were in the laundry room. Remember?
Yeah. I mean, so don't get me wrong. I do feel like the quality, but I'll be lying if I say one amazing time will suffice me for the week. No, it would not. Like, I've been married almost 11 years, and today is Thursday. We 4 times in. He had to double back today to bring some keys back because he took the wrong keys. And I was a quick little, while ZJ was in the shower, because he's the hater. He'd be like, is the door locked? I'd be like, locking it soft. And he'd be like, Ma, did you lock the door? And my house isn't small. It's not. He shouldn't be able to hear the door unlocked. So I was like, Z, you getting in the shower? He was like, yep. I was like, me too, okay, so I'm going to close the door. I'll be having to give disclaimers. But I do feel like, yes, if it's like, okay, you got 3-4 times in and it's boring or trash or every last one had to be a quickie, but I would be struggling if I got one good time and that would suffice me. My household, we get very irritable when we don't. Like, that's our love language. Like, collectively, even though everybody have individual, that's our...
The one you have in common.
Exactly. Not even common. It's hard to say. It's the foundation of the relationship. Like, because that's... Physical touch isn't his.
Gotcha.
Right?
Gotcha.
But what works for us is that. That's what grounds us. That's what reconnects us.
Okay.
So too many days going by, it's like we're snarky and snippy, and it's like... Oh, you need some, don't you? Or I need some, right? But I do feel like when she asked that question on the live, the first thing that came to my mind, like Dino, is a minimum of 3. But I also feel like it's what you guys have said, right? And that changes.
Expectations, right?
Exactly, right? So say y'all meet, I keep going back to, I don't know how many of our listeners been with somebody since they was 20, but at 20, y'all may have been getting it in twice a day, like 4 or 5 times, and now in your 40s and you got a little hating ass kid who's knocking on the door all the time, you got another kid that's calling, whatever the case is, the times is different for your work schedule, one is up, one is asleep, so the likelihood of getting in 4 or 5 times or even 3 sometime is unrealistic, right? So for me, expectations change. So even if whatever my expectation was then, it changed. What is required is to discuss that those expectations have been changing. So it's like, damn, I know we used to do it 4 times a week, and that's not really suitable now, but we got to make sure we at least get it in 2 times. It still should be an ongoing conversation, not like what I hear, even in sessions, people will say like, we used to do it such and such and such. And when I'll say, well, when was that? Oh, when we were 30? Well, shit, y'all 44 now. Like, how come you still holding on to that? Like, let's renegotiate what could work for everybody now. Because I know most of my married friends, when they ask me that, and I'll be like, it has to be minimum of 3. And they be like, I don't know how the fuck we can't get that in due to work. Not necessarily a loss of attraction, but we just cannot squeeze in 3.
So, my feedback is a tiny bit different than yours. So, you said expectations change. I am not of the opinion that expectations have to change as much as things change, how do we acknowledge and adjust to those things, right? And so, I don't believe that because you have kids, you can't maintain your expectation of 3 times a week. I think that when you have kids, it's how do we maintain this expectation, whatever the expectation is.
Right.
How do we still do this thing? Not, oh, now I have kids, we can't do this thing. It might be...
No. I'm not saying that.
No.
Oh,
this is just my opinion. One of the biggest things that I hear, and it's not always from fathers, sometimes it's from mothers too, is when people get married, they have kids, now their kids is in their bed. And so the parents is not usually on the same page about them kids being in the bed. And it's not always the mom who wants them in the bed. I've definitely heard moms be like, and he always goes and gets the kids and let them fucking cry and blah, 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 blah.
Yeah.
But it goes back to, let's talk about what's happening here. Let's talk about this transition. Let's talk about this change. Let's talk about, are we still able to meet, or how do we still meet each other's needs considering the changes? Because sometimes you can't control stuff changing and happening.
And I'm with it when people say like, oh, kids not changing things. It does. It really, really does. From your sleep patterns, it does change, and it just requires you to be intentional. But when I was saying the expectations, I'm saying literally your expectations changing. So say at 30, when it was kind of like, oh, 2 times what suffice for me. Now at an older age where my body has changed, what I know as a woman, what happens to my vulva and how it expands, and it requires, there's an increase in my sex drive. So if I have my partner thinking that 2 times will suffice for me and now it's not, I need to be saying that, because my expectations are different now, because now my sex drive is heightened. And just a quick little physiological psychology thing is, it's so bugged out how God did us. So as women age, their sex drive increases, and as men age, it declines. So their roaring, very heightened time is late adolescence to late 20s. And our heightened time is those mid 30s above. So even that has to be discussed. But a lot of times people may not even know that. So here I was, only doing it a couple of times a week. And now that I'm in my late 30s and 40s, I'm expecting us to go like rabbits. And he has declined where he like, shit, 1 or 2 times is good for me.
And then
conversation, because those expectations has changed.
And then the woman goes through menopause, and then they're like, it reverses.
It changes again, exactly.
You know what I'm saying? And so
and that still looks different for people.
Exactly.
For some people, it has heightened, but it's weird. Like they're horny, but may not want the intercourse of it. It's bugged out. So one takeaway that I'm throwing out is in knowing your body, and just be aware of how it evolves and
not
how
just
it
knowing
changes.
it, talking to your partner about it.
But you gotta know it first.
That's one thing people don't do though. Like, yo, what's happening with me?
But the first thing is, people don't even know what's happening.
Yeah.
They'll say to their spouse, I'm not having an orgasm. Do you even know what you need to have an orgasm? Instead of just putting it completely on somebody else to say, you're not making me come. Sis, do you know how to make yourself come? Like, do you know what will do that for you? And many women will say no.
So, I'm a quality person. Like, quality matters to me. Not saying that frequency doesn't, right? Quality matters. But the other thing, have you watched Love, Sex, and Goop?
No, I thought you was about to say Sex Life, but no,
So you gotta watch Love, Sex, and Goop. I encourage married couples, engaged, whatever the case is. I encourage you to watch Love, Sex, and Goop, and watch it together. Love, Sex, and Goop is Gwyneth Paltrow's brand, right? But it's a show. It's on Netflix. I don't know how many episodes it has, but it follows these couples and these sexual psycho. I don't think they're just regular psychotherapists, but I'm not 100% sure of the title, right? But very similarly to love languages, they talk about sexual blueprints.
Okay.
Right? And so they say that the thought is that everybody has a sexual blueprint, and your sexual blueprint says, or is a reflection of how you become aroused and become interested in wanting to desire sex.
Okay.
And so I always go to, it's like a black couple on there, and the category.
It's not like a show. It sounds like it's like reality or.
It's reality.
Okay.
It's reality. And so, like, they make each couple take the quiz, and it's almost like, so it was a black couple, right? And they were like on the verge of divorce, and it was because of sex. And the husband was like, she doesn't have sex with me enough. And once they took the quiz and everything, the husband, he was considered, his sexual blueprint was sexual, meaning he was more aroused by the act of sex, the genitals, that type of thing. The woman, her sexual blueprint was energetic. Mm-hmm. And so in order for her to become aroused and interested in sex, there had to be, it was about the anticipation of sex.
Yeah.
Not just...
That's many women too.
And it wasn't just like foreplay, but it was like wanting to be desired. Mm-hmm. Like, and so they worked with each couple to kind of help them learn each other's sexual blueprint. But I think that's something that's very, very important because, yeah, the number of times and the frequency might be the underbelly of it, like not getting it enough, right? It's just like eating, right? You want to eat 3 times a day, or do you want to have 3 quality meals? Well, I did eat something. Like, we got to find the middle there. Because I do think that's something that comes up a lot is your partner wants you to do things that you don't want to do, or it gets boring. I couldn't imagine, like, 30 years in, like, shit gotta develop. You gotta throw some feathers in there sometime, or something crazy, you know, at some point in time.
Yeah.
In time, but it is about expectations. Now, I'm gonna ask you: when you are going into a marriage or a relationship, and you are discussing sexual expectations, does each person get to say no? Particularly when you're in a marriage. Do you get to say, well, that's my limit, I'm not doing that?
Absolutely. Like, yes, we're in this union, this sacred covenant. Absolutely. But I'm still an individual, and as much as I desire to make my partner happy, I still have to honor myself. Like, I still have to honor. So I do feel that anything may be worth trying. But, you know, we come to the table with so much of our shit. Like, if it's things that's triggering, trauma and stuff like that, absolutely you should be able, not should, you make the choice to say no. And this is your partner, your friend, your best friend. You should be able to say why, opposed to like, I don't do my butthole's too little. Like, oh, I don't suck dick because my grandmother said
I'm gonna go to hell.
I'm gonna go to hell, or I'm gonna get herpes on my mouth. Like, you saying no just off of holding on to old philosophies and old things like that, that's just really just immature. But if there is substantial reasons for you besides the church saying like, hey, you know, this happened to me, I was sexually abused and I'm still haven't healed from certain things that I was forced to do, that's a no. Or I do think you are able
I'm
to
with
say
you on
no.
that, but there's a couple things I could think of that's just fucking weird to me, and I'm not doing it. Like like, it's just. And I'm not trying to be like discriminatory. I don't want to offend anybody. I don't want to offend anybody. But if my guy wants me to do anything that seems gay to me, I'm not doing it. Like, I'm like, yeah. So, because then I got questions as a therapist. Now I got fucking questions. Like, what happened to you? Like, what's happening with you? Like, what's happened? Like,
that's the kind of stuff that could cause divorce, right? Not allowing a person to be sexually free.
But wait a second. No.
If perceived gay, now that means he can't explore that with you. He should be able to explore anything with you.
All I'm saying is, right? All I'm saying is, if it, just like, and it's a lot of men, right? Thumbs up or thumbs down, Dino. It's a lot of men who like, do not touch my ass, right? And so
if he does let you touch his ass, he gay?
No. What I'm saying is that's that man's limits. Like, he's telling me that's his limits. Do not. And it's like, because for him it's weird, or it might, whatever. He just, that does not.
As a therapist, when somebody is that freaked out about touching their ass, that doesn't make you say like, what's up with you? Like, I clenching up and squeezing his cheeks tight, I would be more concerned about that.
I'm talking about like ass as in like my butthole. Like
no, it's some men that's like don't grip, don't.
No. I'm talking about.
I would be concerned with that. Like, sir, what has happened to you? Like, your ass tight is hard as a rock now. Like, sound like you've been through some things. Like, now I don't play that. I don't play that, yo. It'd be like, did you just come home? Like
so usually that's what it is.
what is happening?
That's what it is. But I'm saying, like, if something just seems like if that's your thing, like, you want me to do what to you? Let's talk about this.
Oh, no butt beads. You would break up? You would get a divorce? We talking marriage. So you would get a divorce if he say like, oh shit, I saw some shit. And they said like the best orgasm for a man is anal. Like, let's try your butt beads. You would divorce him?
Divorce? I don't think I would. I would go to total divorce.
But you would have a lot of questions.
I'm not getting a strap on and fucking my dude in the ass.
I just asked about
what I'm saying. That's my limit.
I said
that's my limit.
Butt beads. Would you be okay with butt beads?
I don't know.
You have to put the butt beads one by one by one.
I don't know.
And then pull out.
I don't know.
Are you doing that?
I don't know.
Okay.
I don't know. But I do also think, and this goes back into the whole, I think making sure you're sexually compatible with somebody at the onset is important. And I do understand a lot of people want to wait until, and when I mean compatible is what I mean is that y'all have similar ideas, right? Like, are you willing? And different people will bring different things out of you. That is
yes, exactly.
That is that. But like, if you're boring, it's just gonna be I'm check out quick. That's just gonna be that for me.
Yeah, I mean, I hear you, but I definitely I'll have to say I disagree with compatibility on set. I feel like, yes, there are some things that's just flat out, you realize you're compatible. Oh, you like concerts? Oh, I like comedy. I like this. But when it comes to sex, like, for people, just like they talked about that blueprint, right? Like, it is a roadmap. It's an evolution. So people can bring out different things. So I have been, like, professionally, personally, could be seeing people be feeling like I'm boring, like they're the boring person with this person, and then it's like, yo, the chemistry here like turned me into a freak. I was doing this and I was doing that. Like, so if sometimes you go off of just like, okay, it seems like we might be compatible on that onset, you rob yourself of exploring what could come out, particularly in marriages. There are people who's like, they've been together 20 years and they're like, this is the peak of their sexual relationship. Like, yeah, they've had kids and they've been having sex, but the level of intimacy due to their relationship growing and evolving and them learning themselves, like, it has created this dynamic, powerful bedroom experience. But if they would have went off of like, yo, we not sexually compatible here, they would have never even gotten there.
I understand that, and I think that, let me tell you the thought that I'm thinking from and the thing that I hear. I hear so many people after they are in the marriage, it's like, I'm not doing that. And it's like, wait a second, like, y'all wasn't on the same page about this thing before. And I understand a lot of people choose to exercise no sex before marriage. I get that.
Yeah.
Just because you're not having sex before marriage doesn't mean you shouldn't talk about sex.
Definitely.
And and
especially because you ain't doing it, you should be talking a lot.
Like, what is your ideas about what is our sex life gonna look like? That, I think that is a conversation. I don't care if you've never had sex before, right? And so people get into the marriage and it's like, oh, wait a second, are you watching porn? I do not want porn in my house. Throwing it away. You're demonic, and it just goes way in the opposite direction because you didn't check the temperature of this part of the connection from the onset, right? And so we talking about expectations, Sophia, and as a married person, right? what's your you gave a takeaway already. You can put your glasses back on.
Yeah.
Okay. You take your glasses off when you get a little ratchet, and then you put your glasses back on when you say something.
I didn't say a ratchet comment just now, but
I'm gonna have to pay attention to that.
Yeah, when I feel like I'm teaching, then I'll be like, oh, let me get my glasses.
Wait a minute. Before we do takeaways, the other one I wanted to put out there, because this is one of Sophia's favorites, and we gonna touch on it, and we'll get back into it. What about physical expectations of your partner?
Oh, you know how important I think that is. Well, you already just said that, right? So that's huge, right? Like,
so
like I got to take a breath for that, because I do want it to come out direct but gentle as well, right? That and I'm coming for the women now, and not saying that this doesn't happen to men.
It does.
It very, very much so does, right? But particularly, it's this kind of cat and mouse game that society or women play, where it's like, I want to get chose, right? And you do. Ta-da, you got the prize. You have this I don't even know how much weddings cost now. $50,000. You
a lot.
A lot, right? The big bag. And then now you have these kids, and you're a homeowner, and you have fell apart physically. I don't even give a shit how much you have healed inside. You look rough, sis. You look bad, and you keep saying this baby weight. The kid is 6. Like, come on. Like, not even just for your spouse, right? For you. Like, keep yourself up. I have said to my friends, we looking rough. Privately, of course, like never, but it's like, let's snap back. And don't get me wrong, everybody, metabolism, all of that, things that play a part. Don't get me wrong. I'm not big, so having my kids breastfeeding turned me into like a little string bean. So I get that may not be, but it's like keeping you up. It's like you feel like you got the prize, and you just start looking homely and just, and you know, I love a good sweatsuit. 3 stripes is my world. But even make that look cute. Like, you just wearing oversized everything. Like, you're not even letting him see a little bit of skin. You go to bed in pajamas like that. Like, yes, that is a big issue for me. My husband could probably say a lot of things about me. Attitude, quite a bit, right? But what he won't be able to walk away and say, like, damn, she ain't even try to keep herself up. Nah, I'm not taking that charge. I'm not.
So,
but it does happen with men, too.
It does.
Like, they get comfortable with that bare belly, walking around looking like a Ninja Turtle. And think that because you swole here, we're not going to do nothing here. It happens. They get comfortable, too.
That was one of the things, I think, when one of the homecomings we went back to, and I'm like, the guys, they took grown man weight to a different level.
Oh boy, homecoming be like, I feel like
it was a couple of fellas, and I was like, I don't know what just happened. I don't know what happened to you.
I told 20 married men, you looking good out here. I like this for you, and did not say that to their wives. And I'm universal. I compliment somebody's husband and compliment that wife too. But I guarantee the last 5 homecomings, I have said it to 80% men and 2% of the women. And don't get me wrong, they might have looked like designer and all that, but just not taking care of them. But I said to so many men, you looking good out here. Your wife should be proud.
So that's where expectations for me, not necessarily, one of the things that I like to know if I am like dating somebody or, you know, exploring or whatever the case is, like knowing that this person exercises is very like it's in my mind. Like do you exercise? Like, do you do any type of anything physically? Because I'm not a little girl. Like, first of all, I need to know that you can lift me. First of all, right? So, like, can you fucking lift me? And I don't like big guys. I do not like big guys. Not my thing, right? I hope we're not coming off offensive, but it's my preference.
Speak for yourself, because I ain't say nothing about big, skinny.
This is my preference. No, but even when I remember when you did get really skinny, you didn't like it.
Yes, I was freaking.
You was upset. And I was like, wait a second, your head getting bigger, like.
And then I have really like insensitive friends, like in spite of. But I've learned to stop expecting me from people. Right? I have really insensitive people around me, and the first thing they would say before they say hi is, "You so skinny," and they'd be like, "Well, hey, like, I'm just breastfeeding and shit. Like, that's all. I'm not on drugs. I'm just nurturing my fucking kid with this golden milk. And the first thing you say to me is, "You so skinny, your head is big." And I already have this round head, so it's like a whole lollipop.
Gosh, it was like a whole blow pop.
And it was like, "Oh, your head is big, you're skinny." One day, someone said to me, a friend was like, You good at this weight? I said, well, thank God I am confident, because people would have me like, but I was really, and what people would say is, "I wish I could get skinny and I'm too big." But I was like, no, I'm really having a hard time. I'm not going to stop nursing my kid, but this milk is, every drip that come out, a pound leaves too. Yeah. It was hard for me, but you know, again, the communication and the expectations with your spouse. Like, my spouse, he was really sweating me like more because he felt like I needed it. He was like, "Yo, you're good. And he sweats me in his own way, because he was like, "Oh, let's don't act like you super thick anyway." And I was like,
you the way you sat in here, I'm like, she swears she has a fucking big ass. Like, y'all should see it.
But
like,
that's the thing. I always walk like I'm thick, but he had to kind of bring me back. Like, yeah, you know, you the lowest that you've ever been, but let's don't act like you was 180 and now you 130. Come on, bring it in some. Like, you look good. But I was having a hard time, because for me, not even just for my spouse, how I feel is connected to how I look for me a lot of times, right? So it's kind of like, even when I'm feeling bad, it's like, get cute today. Like, this is going to support the energy shifting, because it's just showing you I care about you and I'm going to keep it together. But I do feel like people get married and just get comfortable. And some women have even made the comment like, "Well, I got my man." Well, okay, let's make sure he still likes looking at you. Like, that's good that you got that, but it's important to keep yourself up.
And I think that like that part of the physical is one piece of the conversation, but then there's another piece of the conversation when it's like you enter into a relationship with somebody and then you want to make all of these physical changes to them.
Yes.
And that's where it gets a
big topic.
It gets a little tricky. And I'm not just gonna say to men who be like, "Oh, come on, let's go get something done with this butt," or "Let's go get you some titties," or like, there's that piece, but then there is, you know, women too, like, "Oh, well, don't shave your beard because I like this Jim Jones look, actually. And the dude is like, I don't like the summertime, and it feels weird, blah, 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 blah." Nah, don't fucking cut that, because, you know, or men, they gotta go bald at some point in time, right? And it's like, I don't like the shape of your head, so we can get you one of them man weaves. It gets
tricky.
And it gets really tricky.
That, to me, don't get me wrong, it stings. It's some hairstyles that my husband still reference when I be like, "Oh, I'm going to get a weave," and he'd be like, "Oh, like that Rick James one?" That Rick James one was like 8 years ago, but it's stained in his head. Every time I say I'm gonna get a curly weave, it's like the Rick James time, you know. So don't get me wrong, it stings, but that's the beauty of the marriage, the friendship, right? Being able to say that. Like, the joke is, you know, my husband still has his hairline, so people be like, "Yo, how you still rocking out in your 40s with like a full set of hair?" But then when I see it thinning in a little bit, I'll be like, "Yo, my God, like something's happening right here." But it's like, if I can't do that with you, what are we doing here? Like, you should be able to, you know, be able to joke, but still be honest with, I like the salt and pepper. Don't do no Bijan.
Yeah, Beijing.
Like, no, you know, in New York we still call it Bijan. Exactly. Don't get no spray paint on. I like this. But that's the fun part of it, where you are expressing what your expectations are, but it still should be lighthearted because this is my friend.
Right.
And it's like, what's happening with the stomach here? You going back on keto or what? What we doing? Like, that's how we talk in my house. And he be like, I ain't saying nothing. Your little stomach is hanging over your panty line, because that's one of the indicator. Like, oh yeah, I'm probably going out of the 150s now. But you should be able to do that. That's the expectation for me. That's a major takeaway from me. My biggest thing, that when I have contemplated divorce on a serious, because the rule is, if you don't have the thought about it in your head at least once, you're not really in a marriage, right? But times that I have really considered was when I felt like we didn't have a friendship. So my biggest expectation, in spite of it all, finances, sex, physical, all of those things, my expectation is that we're friends. And I feel like when we stick to those kind of things, like flat out saying like, hey, I don't feel like you're my friend this week. Like, what's up? That kind of helps double back having a conversation like, sex was kind of trash yesterday. Like, let's do something about that. You fucking around with this money, and we got this pool, we got this, we got that. The friendship for me brings all of that together.
So it's like the friendship makes it safe to address the expectations and the things that you need.
Not just this checkbox. So, are you going to be able to do that when we get married? Are you going to be able to manage this? Are you going to take care of me? If I don't have a friendship, I'm not even going to have a desire to talk to you about that. The environment doesn't feel safe. It doesn't feel open and inviting. So for me, that expectation of the friendship opens the safeness for all of that you listed. That's my
I like that.
Takeaway.
I like that. That's your takeaway. That's it. My takeaway is something I say all the time to every single couple I come in contact with, whether married or just, together, is you get to make the rules in that relationship. You should take time to say what is not in your relationship, not going off of what people say you're supposed to do in a marriage. What's happening in your friend's marriage? Well, you don't buy me flowers every week.
Your parents.
No, exactly. Like, you get the autonomy. It is you and that person until whenever y'all decide it isn't. And you should be only going to the own beat of your drum, your own rules, however it is that you want to say it. You say what you want. If in your marriage, y'all good with once a week, or y'all might even say, as long as we have sex 4 times a month, then we're fine. That might be 4 times in 1 week. And that may be good for you. And if that's good for you, cool. Establish the rules, the limits, and the expectations in your marriage. Revisit them as things change in your life.
Revisit them.
Every significant change is going to change how you connect to that person. I don't care if it is a change in a job. Like, if somebody's job changes and their hours change, that's gonna change the dynamics of your relationship. Talk about it, revisit it. How do we still connect with each other? How do we still maintain this friendship? How do we still give each other what we need?
Yeah.
And so
I do want to add to that, because sometimes people will wait for like these milestones, right? Like, okay, it's the first year of our marriage. Let's go over this. Oh, they say 5. Oh, they say 7 is the hit, or they say 10. No, literally, whenever you feel that we need to be revisited. Even after like losses, this is one thing that come up that people forget. Like, because I lost this person here, not thinking that it's impacted the marriage. Like, my level of grief is, I'm different now while I'm grieving, and people won't even go back to saying, oh wait, we need to, because I've been expecting you to still cook. I've been expecting you to do this kind of thing. We never even revisited or visited the fact that our whole dynamic is different now. Like, so everything, stop waiting for a milestone like, oh, we're gonna talk about it on our anniversary or New Year's. No, just when life starts changing, because life be lifing.
Got you.
Oh yeah,
this was good.
This was definitely good.
Give us some feedback. Let us know what you think. Tell us, I need it 5 times a week. Tap in, let us know. Please Follow us on social media. We are on Instagram.
Real Therapists.
We are on Facebook.
Real Therapists.
And you can find us at Gmail.
At realtherapist@gmail.com. And also make sure that you subscribe and like and watch us on YouTube. Seeing these facial expressions just brings a whole different life to it. But if you can and you just listening to us while you drive, we are on all listening devices, Apple, Google, Spotify, all of those. Until next time, be kind to you.